Back around when the Nintendo Switch first came out, there was this indie presentation that came out, and it featured this game called Flippin' Death, which at the time, I thought it looked pretty interesting. But due to me not knowing shit about digital games, along with how I handled games back then, I didn't get it. But years later, I've gotten the game finally for pretty cheap, and overall, I find it to be pretty good. What I mean by this is that the game is filled with unique ideas that have a ton of character to make its own thing. Let's start off with the narrative. You're following this girl named Penny in which she died, and you have to do some drama shit with the ghosts and you would get your body back, and that's pretty much the game. It's a good story for a game like this since it fits with the theme of the game with its afterlife but also being unique in its own right. So much so is that the writing of this game has so much personality and has very comedic moments to help add to the engagement to this writing of the game. Even the loading screen shows off the narrative, which is pretty cool and again adds character, but also the loading screens are pretty long, which helps put some sort of entertainment to the overall loading experience, but I'll get to the overall problems with the game when I get there. Gameplay wise is where the game shines. It's set in two different ways, the afterlife and the real world. You would switch between these worlds often to do quests to help solve problems for humans and ghosts, such as helping someone with memory. How you would switch is by looking for living beings to switch with, but you would need currency by doing mundane tasks such as getting X amount of skulls and collecting them in the afterlife using your jumping ability, and by using your weapon you can transport yourself to a different location on your screen. You also have enemies here, but you can't really attack them and you can only try to run away or try to avoid them at all costs. When you get to the real world, you'll be doing the more important tasks that does the progression stuff with the living things that each having their own ability that makes them very special to help solve puzzle problems. And that's what made the gameplay special, because not only does it have its own style to do the puzzles, but also feels like its own thing, which I can really appreciate. For criticisms I have is that some of the things can feel very annoying, but there's even worse issues than this. Some moments the game feels unfinished with how the game crashes 2 times the exact same way early on. In like chapter 3, there will be times the game will stop audio altogether, or the screen can just turn black with a blue gradient circle with only text boxes appearing. Like, I think near the end of chapter 3 in this underwater section, the game does not want to work well and have to restart the game a few times. From basic research, it looks like to be more of a PC problem, but I was playing this game on Switch, so that's not an excuse personally, and I find these problems in the Switch version. Luckily, the game autosaves, but if that was just normal saves and the shit, it would have gotten even more annoying. But don't let these criticisms get to you, cause the game is still amazing at what it does. The presentation as a whole feels great in every way. While it looks 2D, it uses unique tricks to make it more 3D-like with the roads where it can pop in and out. The overall art style is its own thing and helps give it an identity. Along with this, the way it switches between the afterlife and the real world really help show that the game has an artistic style, which tells me that this game is an underrated gem that people should give a shot at. Yes, the game has issues, but not every game is perfect. In conclusion, 8.6 out of 10.